Hello, I'm Roly. I'm a custodian of this beautiful woodland in the heart of Derbyshire, and this is video blog 112. This custodian is about tree tapping, and in particular, birch tapping. Birch tapping is the careful, seasonal practice of drawing a small amount of sap from a living tree at the moment it begins to wake from winter. It is not harvesting in the agricultural sense, and it is not extraction. It is a brief meeting with the tree at a very specific point in the year, when stored energy begins to rise through the wood, carrying minerals, sugars, and the memory of sunlight back towards the crown. The sap is not taken once leaves have formed. It is gathered only in that narrow threshold between winter and spring, when the tree is awake but not yet speaking in leaf. I arrived at the woodland early, while the ground still holds the night, and the birds are only just finding their voices. This is the hour I trust most, when the world has not yet been interrupted. As part of my ovate grade, I came not to take, but to listen, to learn, to stand properly amongst the trees and remember that relationship is the first work. I walk slowly, letting the place recognize me. Birch rises pale and attentive amongst the darker trunks, its bark catching what little light there is, as if it has already begun to wake. Of all the ways to meet a tree, what better way than to share it in the elixir of its life, to drink not a product, but a moment, a seasonal breath, moving upwards through living wood. But time matters. This can only be done when winter loosens its grip, but has not yet fully let go. Late winter into early spring, when the tree is waking but not yet speaking in leaf. Here in the UK, this usually falls between late February and late March, sometimes reaching into early April if a cold lingers. The old balance is written in the weather itself. Cold nights that still sharpen the air, and milder days that often soften the ground. This gentle argument between freeze and thaw creates the pressure that lifts the sap, carrying stored sunlight and mineral memory back towards the crown. When the buds finally open, the taste changes. The moment has passed. The tree turns its attention elsewhere. Birch is the tree of choice here. It offers freely and early its sap, light, clear and generous. Others can be approached with care and curiosity. Walnut will give a milder, sweet sap. Lime carries a softer floral trace. Hornbeam, less sweetness but a deeper, more medicinal character. Each has its own timing, its own temperament, and should be met on its own terms. Before anything is done, I stand with the tree, a hand on the bark, breath steady. I ask not as a performance, not as a script, but as a genuine question. I name why I am here, what I seek, and how little I will take. I acknowledge that this act will leave a mark, however small, and I promise to leave the tree able to heal. The ritual is simple because sincerity does not need ornament. If a body tightens, if the place feels closed, I step away. Consent is part of the practice. When the sap is taken, it is taken gently, a shallow opening no deeper than necessary, one small wound only. Tubing is used. Make sure it's clean, brewing grade, fit for something living. The sap runs clear and cool, tasting of stone, rain and awakening soil. It is drunk fresh because it does not wish to linger. It ferments quickly, reminding us that this is not a thing to store or master, but to receive and thank. Birch sap has long been known as a spring tonic, not in the language of cures, but in the old sense of restoring flow. It carries minerals, potassium, calcium, magnesium, along with amino acids and a lightness that feels almost instructive. It supports the quiet work of kidneys and lymph, gently flushing what winter has taken the body to hold. It has been taken for fatigue, for stiff joints, for skin dulled by cold months indoors, for waking the blood and reminding it how to move again. It is woodland water, not medicine, and should be approached with that humility. Care remains part of a ritual. Only healthy, mature trees are chosen, trunks wide enough to give without strain. Oh, the opening is shallow, the intervention minimum. Rare trees, stress trees, roadside trees should be left alone. Polluted ground is avoided because sap remembers where it has travelled. When the work is done, the spile is removed and a tree is allowed to close itself, as it has done far longer than I have been here. I leave the woodland as I entered it, quietly. What I carry with me is not just the taste of sap, but the sense of having met the season properly. Not rushing spring, not clinging to winter, but standing in the narrow doorway between them, listening to the slow upward song inside the birch. So I do hope you've learned something about tree tapping today. And if you've carried out tree tapping, would love to know what your thoughts are, especially comrades in Canada who tap maple. I'd be interested to know what it tastes like and how sweet it is. So thank you for watching, and I do hope to see you again.